Good evening. It's your buddy Ryan here, joining you from the Moondance Homestead in the windswept mountains above Central California. Now, this evening, I have a very special treat for you because I am going to be reviewing the Sihuadon R-109 radio here. This is actually going to be the second in a series of reviews I'm doing on shortwave radio on the cheap. I'm going to be looking at a few easy ways for folks to get started who haven't done shortwave radio before, or maybe just some good reviews for folks who are already going but want to expand their radio collection with some of the cheaper radios out there on the market, or maybe just people who are morbidly curious about how well a $20 radio could really do. So this radio here is actually going to be the most expensive in this series that I'm doing. And, you know, the reason I actually picked it out is because it's supposed to be more or less a clone of the Sea Crane Skywave. Now, I wish I could show you my Sea Crane Skywave, but unfortunately a child visited our home a couple years ago and took my little radio home with him, unfortunately. So I can't show you that radio, but I do have the Sea Crane Skywave SSB, which is pretty darn similar. And looking at these radios together, you can see they're the exact same shape and size, exact same button layout. Now, of course, the Skywave vanilla is totally black and more square in shape, like the Sihuadon radio. So it's more of a direct clone of it, but yeah, that's promising to me because I really liked my Sea Crane Skywave. The only problem I've ever had with them is that the speaker on both of my Sea Cranes has blown out over time. I don't listen to the radio super loudly. In fact, most of the time I listen to it on headphones. I don't know if other folks have had this problem, but I have had it happen on 2 of their radios, so I won't be buying any more of them. That's a shame because they are sort of I'd say, a good entry point to sort of the higher end mobile radios that you can have. They're supposed to be high quality, made in America type things, but not so some of the times. Hopefully, though, the Sihuadon radio can get folks who are interested and something a little bit cheaper. Maybe it can give you a similar experience. Since I've played with both radios a little bit on this one, a lot more on the Sea Cranes, I can tell you that to the touch it looks very, very similar. It has a lot of the features that I enjoy, such as the antenna jack, a headphone jack, of course. You have the squelch and the ability to sort of filter your stations as they come in. A lot of the super duper cheap Chinese shortwave radios don't have some of those features. What I don't like about it so far is there's no ability to keep the display light on, and as you're going to see when we go searching through it on the ATS function, that unless you're viewing the screen from a specific angle, the numbers become kind of invisible. So let's take a look. Without further ado, we're going to turn this guy on, and we're going to go to shortwave because this is primarily a shortwave channel. I'm sure you're not super interested in the FM in my area, and certainly we could do some AM sometime. I do enjoy seeing, the long range capabilities of these things. You can also see this guy has the Air DSP receiver. So that's going to be some of your, airport type broadcasts, people landing, taking off, communicating with the tower, that sort of thing. It's kind of fun and interesting to listen to if you're at an airport. It's a nice feature to have, not totally necessary. One thing that the Sea Cranes have that this guy does not have is the weather band. So that's an unfortunate loss. I do like the weather band when I'm camping, because It's really good if you're backpacking to know if there's going to be a storm coming in and you're outside of cell phone reception, to see, okay, maybe I should stop and make camp. I've used my shortwave that way several times in the past. But yeah, let's turn this fella on. And we're going to, first of all, choose our band. And you can see immediately what I'm talking about with the text disappearing at an angle. So it's really unfortunate that these guys decided to copy the sea crane but not think about, you know, if this thing isn't visible from an angle, you know, could only have it be at this one angle. So, but we can adjust it in other ways. Let's turn it on. And we're going to go to our shortwave band. We're on there. Let's give it a listen. Okay. So it's just scratchy right now. We're going to do the ATS function. If you look real closely, it's there under the band. We're going to press and hold. And okay, so now it's scanning. My solution for how to prop this fella up is going to be the National Audubon Society Field Guide for North American Mushrooms. And let's see if that works. Oh, like a charm. My favorite guidebook never lets me down. Okay, so this is scanning. And anytime it picks up a broadcast, it will pre-log it for us. And I assume we're going to press this VM/VF button there to switch and be able to actually scroll through some of those. So it looks like we're up to 13 signals it's found. And of course, you know, this does have the antenna jack, but tonight I'm working on Gator Clip. Main reason for that is that I've been kind of retooling my setup. I got some nice thicker gauge wire, a new bag of Gator clips, and was out in the field this afternoon setting up a 24-foot telescoping pole. So now the 100-foot long wire antenna is stretched out southwest from a second-story window here, out 100 feet into our 2.5-acre field, and we live out in the country, so we get very little electrostatic interference, which is a very good reason to be able to review these kinds of radios here, because we're going to get the best possible performance without too much interference. And of course, I won't be able to tell you how this performs in a crowded city where there's a lot more RF interference, and some of these cheap radios might not have proper shielding. So that's something you're going to have to figure out for yourself. But we're just seeing how good of a shortwave signal can we get on this in, you know, close to ideal conditions. So we're going to let that scan, and we'll just wait a minute. And so here's 19 in the memory bank. Now, one thing to think about, too, or one thing I just thought about, is this fella has a feature on it that no other radio I've owned has, except perhaps a solar-powered Kaido radio I had years ago. This fella has a built-in thermometer, so it told me that the room I'm sitting in is a perfect 71 degrees a little bit ago. So I you know, again, that could be another nice thing if you're taking it camping. And honestly, some of these cheap radios, that's part of the reason I like to have a few around, is because I do like to take some of the cheap ones in sort of dicey situations. You know, if I'm going on a plane ride, or, you know, maybe going on a boat, you know, and it could get wet. I don't want something fussy. Okay. So, right away, you can see we're doing pretty good. We've got 2,500 kilohertz. That's one of the atomic clocks out there. Okay, we're going to try to switch to the memory bank. Oh, beautiful. 4840 coming in loud and clear. $5,000 coming in great. That's Fort Collins, Colorado, my hometown. Radio Havana, Cuba. Let's turn that up. I love Radio Havana, Cuba. That's pretty good. All right, we won't listen to that for too long. Don't want to get a copyright strike. Pretty good. Of course, you can see on it too, you can set it between voice and music modes. I haven't gotten too deep into the settings yet to figure that out. But it's always a nice feature to have. You can see things are coming in real nice and clear. Sound's not too bad. It's a little tinny. Okay, you can see first ding against it. Radio's depleting in battery rather quickly. It does have a rechargeable battery, but you see it's already looks like it's indicating it's about a third of the way gone. That's unfortunate. I've only been playing with this for about 15 minutes tonight. Very nice, a little classical music. Broadcast from China. Also sounds like China. Now, I don't know every Asian language perfectly, guys, so if I get one of these wrong, you know, just let me know in the comments. I'm not going to get my feelings hurt. Definitely Chinese language. Don't know which Chinese language. China coming in loud and clear. There you can see, we put on the temperature. Here we go. So you can see it's coming in pretty nice. 65 with very limited interference.
Those acquainted with Chinese, however, wish to know how frequently affection,
Not sure what country that is from. It was English. Very cool. Not sure if that's Radio Amazonia, maybe. Very clear. Excellent. More China. We're on our 46th preset.
Sorry to be back in Raleigh, isn't it?
I think that's Radio New Zealand International. Cool. Very nice. See, and the light will only stay on for 10 seconds. Maybe there's a setting that they don't talk about in the manual. Okay. Well, guys, I have to say, so if I only had, $50 to get a radio, you could do a lot worse than the Sihuadon R-108. I think, for what it's worth, it gets some pretty good sound. I haven't used it with the headphone jack yet, but I have to assume just like with most things, it'll probably work fine. But as far as the speaker goes, it's a little tinny. It's no worse, honestly, in my opinion, than the C Crane, especially my C Crane, since the speaker still works on it. At about that $50 price point versus $85.90 for the C Crane Skywave, I really think that I might go in this direction if I was just starting out, to be certain. It has a lot of the great features like we were talking about. The big downside for me is that rechargeable battery. I do feel a little concerned with what the battery life might be like on this, if it's already draining pretty quick from just a quick shortwave session. That's been my experience with some of these Chinese cheaper radios, is that unfortunately the rechargeables, maybe they got a couple hours in them at the max, maybe closer to an hour, and once they start to degrade, you're going to get some serious loss in audio quality. So especially on shortwave, it needs to be real nice and juiced up to work properly. So that remains to be seen. I'm going to do a longer session with this on my own time. Another time, if we get up to 50 subscribers, we're just 3 away. I can do some live listening with some of these, and you guys can choose what we listen to in the comments and that kind of thing. But yeah, overall, I'm going to give this my seal of approval, actually. I didn't think I was going to give any of these my seal of approval, but overall, despite a really minor quibble with the battery, I think this is worth every penny, especially if you want something that you're not going to cry about when it breaks, and you're, taking it on a backpacking trip. I can't say how fragile or sturdy it is, but it does feel, pretty well built. It definitely has a nice little bit of weight to it. So, it doesn't feel cheap for how cheap it is, to be honest. So that's my final score on this. I'm going to give it probably, an 8 out of 10 on the cheap Chinese radio scale. Thanks for watching, guys.